Big Drive Energy Wednesday, Hump Day edition of Big Drive Energy. We're back at the Riv. The Riv, obviously, as you know, Riviera, due to some natural disasters, didn't have a golf tournament last year. I stupidly looked at the leaderboard, and you had to remind me that the Genesis was, in fact, at Torrey Pines last year. So shout out to you for that before I put some more bad gambling picks in. We're going to preview the Riv, talk about it, talk about Tiger Woods speaking to the media, where you have a Cleveland Golf update. Cleveland Golf has made a announcement, if you will, that they will go forward with. We're going to talk about that. Tommy Fleetwood and his merch journey, current hilarious merch journey, very much a just like us type of scenario. We've got Mitch's player profile, Riviera course changes, preview, weather, pairings, and finally our big bet energy picks for the Riv. Plus, as always, WTF Wednesday. All right, let's tee it up. Big Drive Energy Wednesday. What is up, Migsy Poo? I'm in a mental blender right now. It's just today's my last pod as a father of just one. So dealing with that. The one that I do have currently is being a turd. He's a turdler. So I'm going through it a little bit right now. How are you doing, brother?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I got no complaints. Just been working out and doing hitting the sim quite a bit. I'm actually I've played 2 rounds the last 2 days on the sim, so my lower back's a little tight. I've been swinging a little harder at it. Just harder in general, not like faster. I mean, it is getting slightly faster, but I got to swing harder to swing faster, apparently. So I'm working through that. But other than that, man, everything's pretty good. I'm watching U.S. Sweden hockey game in the background currently.
Did that just start? Is that just starting?
Yeah,
right now?
It just started at 3:10. So hopefully we can take them down. I was kind of rooting for Canada to lose earlier because I just think that would be funny. The only sport that they're really known for, they lose in the quarterfinals at, but they ended up coming back and finishing it off. But our boy Marty Necas looked good. Arturi Lehkonen.
Did you see the breakaway Necas had to win it for Czechia, and he couldn't get? Devon Taves was the one chasing him down, and Necas couldn't get as much of a stick on it and went backhand and Binner. As much as I hate the guy, made the save.
Well, truthfully speaking, I was watching it until about the 3.5 minute mark when Canada tied it, and I was like, "Oh, this is fucking over." And I just went to the gym. Yeah, I was like, "This."
It's like when Scotty Scheffler takes a one-shot lead at 14 on the back nine of a Sunday. Yeah. You just know exactly what's going to happen.
Turn this off. Yep. I did hear though that Necas got hooked on that, and they did not call it. I could be wrong, but I got a text saying that Necas, they should have called a penalty, and they didn't. And so you can just blame the refs for that one. But we're trying a new Italian restaurant tonight in town, so I'm looking forward to that. It's like 2 weeks out for reservations, so pop and spot. And then there's this band that we saw one time randomly in a bar like two winters ago, not this last winter, but the winter before. And they are absolutely electric, and they're like dudes in their 60s that play rock music, and the lead singer just dances like fucking crazy, absolutely rips it. The one time we saw them, he had to change his shirt halfway through because he was just sweating through it, dancing all over the stage. It seemed like he was on crack, but he's just that energetic all the time. They're called Mushmouth. So they are playing.
That's not the same band that we saw that one night. Is that the same place though? Remember when Kylie and I were there?
Yes, but funny enough, they do play at Jenkinson's a lot down the shore at Jenks. But we did not see them. We just saw them at a random bar up here called Ringside.
No, I
But
was talking about the not Jenks on the beach, but the place we went by in Morristown with you. That remember
oh,
that's downstairs and your buddy like works behind the bar and has
oh, yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
stage.
No, no, different band.
Okay.
But that band was good too. That was like a soul band, wasn't it?
I think so. I can't I had too many whiskeys. I wasn't quite dialed
Yeah,
in on the
you did.
music.
You got a little tatered that night. So did I. But no, this band is fucking awesome. So they just happen to be playing at Homestead, which is basically like 500 feet from the restaurant we wanted to try. So we're gonna go do that afterwards tonight. So a little bit of fun on a weeknight, and then we just. So I got to tell you about this too. There's this cool comedy thing that they do in New Jersey, and I don't know if it's a nationwide thing or not, but basically it's a comedy tour, but they don't tell you. I know it sounds a little rough, but I heard from a buddy that it was really good and funny. They have like a tour of comedians, but you don't know who the comedians are and you don't know where it is. You only know what town it's in. So basically what they do is they take like, I guess in one town they did it at like a Wendy's, and they move all the chairs, move all the shit, and they tell you the day before the show where the show is. So then you show up, it's BYOB except for like red wine, so you can't bring any red wine because you don't want to wreck someone's business. But other than that, you just show up at this place. They have like 3 or 4 comedians, and tickets for like $27 a piece. So I'm like, how any comedy show, like we've talked about this, not necessarily on the pod, but I think any comedy show is just so fantastic. Like it doesn't have to be some super well known. Obviously, big well known people are great too, but any comedian is just it's such a fun night, and it's something that every time you do it, you're like, why don't I do that more?
Yeah, I've been in that realm where it's like I haven't done it obviously in a little while, but every time, comedians are really hitting for us on our TikTok and Instagram algorithms. So when you see something like that, you're like, I would never go see that guy necessarily, or I wouldn't not never, but I wouldn't be like, all right, this guy I know I'm going to see him. But if he popped up or you watch an actual show of his, it's yeah, comedy is just one of my favorite things of all time.
It truly is, and the creative shit people come up with. I was actually going to say though, on the topic of like comedians popping up on your For You page, there's this movement where all these hot women are becoming comedians, and I think it's complete bullshit. Like, sure, some of them are funny, like they've been popping up on my For You page, whatever, because it's a lot of comedian stuff. But they're just like straight 9s and 10s, and I'm like, comedians are the people that have to be funny in order to be likable. Like they have to be fucking ugly. They have to look like Shane Gillis should be like the best looking comedian, and it's a little rough. But a lot of the comedians we've seen, they're not the best looking people in the world, and now all of a sudden these hot women realize that, oh, if I go stand up on stage and they see a clip of me on TikTok or whatever, there's going to be people that come to the show and they're probably going to laugh regardless. And there actually is, don't get me wrong, there's some funny woman comedians, but then now it just feels like the floodgates have opened up to where they're oversaturated. There's just too many of them now.
There's just too many comedians out there. I think it'd be great to just be able to go to a show every single night. I know that would be kind of unattainable, or just working security at a comedy show, maybe a low key fucking incredible job. Just usher, stand out there and tell people where to sit. That would be elite because you get to hear
Oh,
every
for
show.
sure. Well, and that kind of like every time we're in Denver, I just don't even think to go to Comedy Works, which is 10 minutes from our place. Like why do we not do that more often? It just doesn't. It's something that you don't think about, but you're like, why don't we do this? It's just a fun night out, with your girl, you have some laughs, or with your boys, whatever you want to do, have some drinks. It's not sports, cuz other than that, like have you ever sat back and be like, what what do I do besides like watch sports or play golf? And the answer is
Yeah.
not much. Like And I mean, I drink, but that kind of involves watching sports. I cook, but that also involves drinking. Like there's nothing really outside of the sports world that I truly enjoy. Comedy is one of them. So I'm like, why don't I do that more often?
Yeah, especially with the great comedy spots we have in Denver. I don't know. Do you guys have a comedy type place in Morristown, or is it just those deals where they pop up at random places?
Yeah, they're mostly pop-ups. We do have like a theater that they do an occasional comedy show at, but it's like concerts. It's like they do like opera there. They do a bunch of different shit. So it's not just a comedy club. But I would love to find I want to go into what is that comedy club in New York City that's super famous. I always just the cellar, comedy cellar, I think it is. I would love to go into there. There's one uh down in New Brunswick called like the Sweat Box or some I forget. So I guess it's a fantastic club because a lot of like up and coming comedians they'll do the cellar and then they'll go out to New Brunswick and do that. So I've kind of thought about that because I've been listening to a few like comedians podcasts and it is the most because all I listened to previously was sports podcasts. So now I'm kind of dipping into the comedian side of it and they just riff about absolutely nothing but it's perfect for like mindless bullshit. Like you don't really have to listen to it like you're doing to me right now. You just don't listen and everything. Okay, got you there. But yeah, I'm just super stoked to got a few things planned. Been hitting the simulator. That's kind of the extent of what I got going on. You're okay, so I wanted to do this with you as your last podcast as a father of one. What have you learned? Give the fellow dads out there listening just something they can relate to. Like what have you learned through this experience? What do you expect out of the next? Do you expect it to be harder? Do you expect? I assume you do,
Oh,
but you
the
have the floor
second
for a
kid?
minute.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so I think one of the things I learned the most is you can never get too comfortable in any scenario. Whether, once your kid starts sleeping through the night, and I say that in quotations for those of you listening to the pod audio, you can never expect them to do it the next night. You have to literally you live life as a parent when you're taking care of your kid, and even when you're not, I guess, when you're at work, and I haven't had this issue too many times, but if you're at work and your kid gets sick and pukes, I'm sure that'll happen multiple times once he goes to preschool and school. You kind of just have to drop everything and go get him. Like it's truly my schedule day to day is kind of just a penciled in schedule. Nothing's in pen with a kid, and it's sometimes it's obviously there's moments that are incredibly fun where he starts saying certain words, or he says a
it
certain
is fun when he
phrase.
says words.
Well, no, certain words, like now whenever he dunks the basketball and he says Christian Brown, or when he goes to other people's house and they're like he's watching a Nuggets game, he says, that's Nikola Jokic, that's Aaron Gordon. And like a week ago we were with some people, I forget what it was, and he's talking about going to the Nuggets game, which we told him he was going in like a week, and he just can't stop talking about it. And they were like, "You going to see Nikola Jokic and Aaron Gordon or something like that?" He goes, "Nikola Jokic hurt, Aaron Gordon hurt, Peyton Watson hurt." And it's just like incredible some of the stuff that he picks up on and his little quirks that he does just from watching. Like when he goes to pitch a baseball now, he'll put like his glove in front of his thing and then put it up over his head. And it's just like unbelievable the stuff he learns that I've never directly taught him or tried to teach him. He was outside a little bit ago playing hockey in the backyard, just on the concrete. And the dude is like holding the hockey stick perfectly. He's does a spin with the ball and is like holding it on his stick, and then fires a legit wrister that goes bar, post in. And I'm like, you don't understand how fucking insane that is. And I know you didn't mean to do it, but I was just like, all right, I'll watch
I
you for this
asked you what
one.
you've learned from fatherhood, not just glazing your son's athletic ability.
Oh, I did say I learned that it's literally your life is up in the air. Every day is up in the air. And I
That's
learned that
fair.
timers work. Timers are our friend. They get him to do anything.
Timers have your son in a chokehold. Like
It's starting to get less and less of a chokehold. He's starting to, I think, pick up on this scenario. And one last thing that I've
You got
learned
to
is
evolve. You got to evolve and adapt. You got to find something else that he just has no force over and cannot say no to.
And I will say, lastly, but certainly not least, potty training is by far the worst thing that you ever do with children. Terrible. I hate it. It's one of my least favorite things that I've ever had to do with him, and
I
it's
mean,
not over yet. That's the
I
thing. It's
watched
not.
your son have a number 2 in the living room, so it's not fun for anybody.
No,
I can only imagine it's not a good time.
it's just messy. So no to potty training, but overall, it's gonna be weird, dude. I'm having some like semi anxiety about having a second kid for not all the normal reasons that you think. Obviously, I'm worried about him being healthy and all the other good things that you need, getting out of the hospital fine, my wife being healthy and fine after having him. But I'm worried about like what, and I think I've said this to you offline, if you will, or off the air, but I'm like, you're not Sawyer. You're not him. Like I have this idea.
He's not him. Well,
Yeah.
like that kids can individually, and that's where as an adult now, I'm like, parents definitely have favorite kids. They'll
A
never
million
be able
percent.
to like say it, but parents 100%, you can't just equally look at two separate people. I mean, they're both yours and Kylie's, so that makes a difference, but it's got to be so hard to look at both of them and be like, yeah, they're the same. Like in the back of your mind, and Big Cat always does this. He's like, oh yeah, my daughter's my favorite for sure. And he tells his kids that, like, just be upfront. Maybe that's something to work towards. Like if Sawyer's being a dick, you'd be like, hey, Stetson's my favorite right now. You better get in line and see if he cares or not. Maybe he doesn't care. He kind of goes to the beat of his own drum, as we know, but it could be a weapon for you, just something in the arsenal that you can throw at him.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You're always, as a father, always adding to your arsenal of what can I get to work in this moment right now that will make this situation better. So I've gotten my arsenal's huge. My arsenal of vocab, my arsenal of tricks, my arsenal of how to get this thing done at this time. I mean, we were only
swear
7 minutes late to the pod today because he didn't want to fucking take a nap. Like, it's unbelievable how they just have their own brain and they will literally defy the shit out of you.
Oh yeah. And it's just you. Like he's pretty damn good anytime he's with somebody else, It's just his parents that they try to get it over on. But I'm pretty convinced at this point you could negotiate an international arms deal with the kind of negotiation tactics that you've used on Sawyer. Granted, they're probably a little bit more mature and have a few more brain cells, but yeah, everything's a negotiation with him. It's until you finally put your foot down and then he cries, and then it's, that's just the vicious circle of a toddler's life.
Yeah. Oh, it never ends. It's just a wash machine that's stuck on forever and plugged in.
Well, and your guys' wash machine is literally always on. I've never seen it not running. But I will say as well that I think having number 2, the advantage, similar to having 2 dogs, obviously I'm not comparing children and dogs, but I kind of am, is that they can entertain each other. Obviously, Stetson needs to get a little older to then be able to play with Sawyer and all of this. But once he's old enough, then you'd be like, you two go play in the backyard. Like you don't need, and obviously you're going to want to throw the ball with them and everything. But when you got shit to do, be like, hey, you guys go throw the ball. You pitch. And until they're screaming, Dad, he didn't throw enough to me, or what, he's not sharing. Like, oh God,
Oh yeah.
that was always you as a kid, you selfish little fuck.
Okay, well, we're gonna wrap up the dad talk now, and we'll get into a little bit of golf. This is a golf podcast, so this is when we will begin the golf talk. Of course, we're gonna get into Riviera, the 5th major. How many different tournaments have been called the 5th major recently? Live Golf Adelaide, the Players, potentially now Riviera. It just seems to never end. But
the People's Open, the Waste Management,
Waste Management. It's just everything.
Yeah. It's a tournament commissioner's favorite term, and Brandel Chambly. There's anything could be the Valspar 5th major, John Deere 5th major, and okay, so
Valero, Texas Open.
Let's talk about this for a second. They've actually, like, what do you think the possibility is that they add the Players as a major?
Well,
I could see the women have 5 majors, and I understand that it's been 4 majors in men's golf for forever, but I don't think it's like crazy outside of the realm of possibility.
Well, I've heard or maybe saw it on Twitter, and if you see something on X, the Everything app, it's got to be real. But I saw
Facts.
something to the effect of they wouldn't necessarily add a 5th major, but if like I saw like the PGA Championship drops out is kind of what I saw. I don't know if they would make flip the PGA Championship and make it not a major and change it up and make it something different and then add the players in there. But I think it'd have to be the players, right? I mean, personally, I think the players is already it's kind of the same in terms of where you have to qualify or have to be a certain official world golf rankings. And then there's a few potential sponsors exemptions. It's at the same course, which that's the one thing that I think the majors have going for them right now. And I actually like the setup of where they are, the big 4, if you will, because the Masters at Augusta is always the first major and it's just set in stone. We know that. But then the other 3 majors, they did some recent schedule changes to where now the PGA is second, I believe, and then the US Open is third and the Open Championship is last. So they did some schedule changes there, which was good because it was like, I think you had the Masters and then the Open Championship and then the US Open or Masters, US Open, Open Championship. And then the last one of the year was the PGA. And you're like, all right, well,
I liked it way better like that. I could be in the minority, but I think a lot of people agree with me that, and it's more just because the major season's too short now. It's jammed between April and July. Like it's April, May, June, July. That's it, and it's over. I just wish that we had that extra like month of major championship season. I'm okay with going an extra month between the Masters and the US Open, but then it's just like it feels like you have Masters, you roll right into the PGA, you roll right into the US Open, and then it's over, and then July's over, and I guess you got football and shit, and we love football, but I'm just like, I want one more major to tide me over for the summertime.
Yeah, see,
So
I don't know. I think having them once a month, basically in the 4 months of legit dead season in football. I mean, the Masters is right during, I was listening to a radio show talk about how great April is in terms of the sports scheduling, where the first weekend of April is always the Final Four. You got 2 games on Saturday and then the national championship Monday night. Second weekend of April is always the Masters. And then the third weekend of April is when NBA playoffs start. So like the leagues got together or figured out the calendar because there was people that were apparently pissed off, or not necessarily pissed off one way or the other. You're kind of in one lane, pardon the pun, or not. But like the Daytona 500 and the NBA All-Star game being at the same time, you're losing a chance for somebody to maybe tune into one or the other if they're on. Now those are two very different fan bases, but there's a lot of people that just like myself in general, that if there's a live sport on, I'm probably watching it. And so, when you pack those two at the same time, it's like the calendar gets all fucked up.
But that's what I'm saying is if you had the PGA in August again, then there's literally nothing besides baseball. And this like the dog days of baseball going on at that point. There's no other sports happening. It would feel like the PGA would get a little bit more viewership at that point. Am I wrong?
No, I think if you're looking at the PGA in terms of the month it's played, is it going to get more love in May when there's maybe 2 or 3 basketball games left, a couple of hockey games left? Or are you going to get more love for it in August? Football started. Like college football starts in August, and the NFL has a couple preseason games in August. I know people aren't tuning into preseason, but their mind's kind of already into football mode. Whereas if you go April, May, June, July, those are the 4 months where, other than free agency in the NFL draft in April for football, which doesn't overtake the Masters ever because nothing can, it's a perfect, like May. What is in May? There's like nothing in May, and adding the
playoff
PGA
hockey
Championship
and playoff basketball. I mean, that's
I mean, it's there, but we've also been lucky enough where our teams have played that long. 90% of fan bases don't have a team in it, and they're, and then who knows how many people are actually watching it.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. Speaking of the Masters, Tiger Woods had his press conference this week talking about just random things. It's kind of the first press conference Tiger's done in a little bit. and somebody asked him if he was ruling out playing in the Masters, and he said no. So obviously it's a little clickbaity. I hate having this conversation, but I think we should have it. What are your thoughts? Do you want to see him play in the Masters? And I guess that's kind of a stupid question, but give me a little thought on him saying that.
Well, there's nothing that ignites the golf world to this day like Tiger Woods saying he's going to start a tournament. And he didn't say that. He just didn't rule it out, I guess. But Tiger Woods is feeling a little Chris Bryant-y to me right now. We had that conversation yesterday where he's just going to keep having issues and it just feels like he's never going to be back. But then again, the thing about Tiger Woods is when he came back and won the 2019 Masters, it was so unbelievable. It was like Anthony Kim level of unbelievable from this past weekend where you feel like you can never count the guy out now, especially with the elite athlete he always has been. Now, obviously, there's been a ton of surgeries and a ton of off the course issues that the world knows about. But I think there's nothing that ignites the golf world like Tiger even hinting that he'll be playing at Augusta National. But if you remember back to our 26 predictions for 2026, one of mine is Tiger starts but does not finish a tournament. So I would love to see Tiger start the Masters and shoot 82 on Thursday and then WD, and I can, click a box off of my predictions for 2026.
Yeah, that I would love to see you get another prediction right. So that if he misses the cut, then does that count as not finishing a tournament? Or if he just plays 2 days, then that's finishing, the portion that he can play in.
I thought about that as I was saying my sentence on him, and I was like, God, I wonder if I can consider a miscut. No, I'm gonna be true to my word, and I'm gonna be honest about this, and I'm gonna say that he has to withdraw himself. He doesn't.
Okay.
If he misses the cut, then he just misses the cut like 75 other people.
Yeah. I actually just had an idea, and we should brain hold this for later down the road, but we should do when golf season's kind of over, we should do a pod about like our top 5 like favorite major victories of all time, because that obviously would have to be one of them. But then just kind of going through some more obscure majors that we really enjoyed. I feel like that would be a good pod. But yeah,
I'll drop that in the notes.
There you go. Yeah, wormhole that because I will not remember it in about 10 minutes. But I just do not get that excited. It honestly pisses me off when Tiger tosses that out there, because then the coverage just completely hovers to him. And this is what happened for the better part of the 2010s into the late 2010s is whenever he's playing, he's getting 80 to 90% of the coverage. And it just is unnecessary at this point. Yes, he's the greatest golfer of all time, or one of two. But he, at this age, he does not need the camera in his face. I don't need to watch him hitting chip shots on the chipping green and range balls and literally they get him from the time he gets out of the car till he gets in the car to leave the course. Like it's just too much. So I would love to see him be healthy enough to compete, but it doesn't get me going. Like everyone that does this with Tiger on social media is literally just clickbaiting. Might as well call yourselves TMZ. Like that. It's golf's version of TMZ whenever Tiger says something and everybody just jumps on it like, oh, Tiger's playing in the next major. Like, give me a break, dude.
Yeah, if you're on golf Twitter in any of those circles where a lot of your feed becomes golf, that is all that was talked about yesterday. Anthony Kim, I mean, it was like he stole the spotlight from Anthony Kim quicker than anybody else could potentially by just sitting behind a microphone. Just like we do every single pod where we just capture the entire world by sitting behind these microphones. It's just like that with Tiger.
Yeah. Well, and yes, exactly. And it's weird too, because you can tell Tiger still like enjoys it. Otherwise he would kind of try to get out of the spotlight. But I feel like almost any chance he gets to be in the spotlight, you can tell he's still like all about it. So,
well, I feel like for him, it's because it's all he's got right now. Like he's been in the spotlight his whole life, to start his whole life, I guess I should say, because of golf and how well he was playing. And then it changed to how bad of a person he was, much better golfer than person for sure. And now it's like he has the chance to steal it back by just playing, but he's always said he's no Kevin Kisner, and as always said, I will not enter a tournament I don't think I can win. And I want to go a little
also
sidebar.
a lie.
We'll get off the Tiger bandwagon for just 2 seconds, and I want to get your thoughts on this. So there was some pissed off people on Twitter the past weekend that were upset that the PGA Tour, Jim Nantz and the crew, Colt Knost, Johnson Wagner, that nobody mentioned Anthony Kim's victory at Live Golf Adelaide. Do you agree or disagree with those takes? Should they have mentioned it? Should they have talked about it? Or to me, it's, I guess I'll let you go. I'll let you finish.
Yeah, I mean, I think Colt Knost did acknowledge it. And even he said, he was like, I don't know if the network, he said he was kind of afraid to say something because he didn't know if the network was going to poo-poo him or not. But I think it's mostly like out of their hands, unfortunately the net, I don't know if the network necessarily has a problem with Live Golf. It's just the PGA Tour itself. So I don't know if the announcers, or if, I guess, the announcers are part of the PGA Tour, but I know that Colt Knost acknowledged it. Did Jim Nantz really not say a word about it?
I don't know, because I didn't listen to a ton of the tournament. I was watching it, but not necessarily. That's one of the nice things about golf is you can hit, like, it's the funnest sport to watch when you have other things to do. Funnest, most fun. Don't judge my English there. But it's the most fun sport to watch because when you know what you're looking for and you kind of know what you're watching, you can pop on the TV, 5-second swing, see where the ball goes, and then go do something for 10 minutes, most likely. When it gets down to the very end on Sunday, you're like, I should probably watch every single one of these shots, especially if you have a tournament like last weekend where any shot would have, Scotty's shot into 18 changed the entire dynamic of the tournament at that point. A birdie putt goes in for, God, now I'm blanking on who won the actual event.
Collin Morikawa.
Birdie putt goes in for him on 17. It's basically wrapped up, or 16. So there's a few points where you don't want to miss, but overall golf is a very lax sport. But from what I could see, and on Twitter, people were mad that Jim Nantz didn't mention anything. And I do get it. I get being maybe butthurt about it, but in the real realm of the golf world, I would never expect them to say anything. I would never expect the PGA Tour, whether it's Jim Nantz, like you said, he's kind of an employee of the PGA Tour every weekend when he's calling the tournaments, but I would never expect him to just go into this double wrister on Anthony Kim, who won. The last win was the 2010 Shell Houston Open. That'd be like, talking about Boo Weekley or something like that randomly. And I don't know. It's just, to me, I didn't expect them to ever say anything. And I don't think it's like a disservice. It's a completely different product. What I mean? You're not in the Stanley Cup Finals talking about the Russian Hockey League and who, a guy that used to be on the Avalanche then now won a Russian Hockey League goalie of the year. Like, you wouldn't expect that. It's just not. I didn't see it as a disservice to the fans that were listening. If Anthony Kim won and you care enough about golf, you knew. But you don't need to hear the PGA Tour guys talk about it. And I'm not some PGA Tour shill, but I was just not as annoyed as some people seem to be about them just saying nothing.
Yeah, I was going to say it's hard to even find like a good comparison, but yeah, at the end of the day, they've never mentioned a live result on the PGA Tour, broadcast before. So I think just the only exception would be the story behind Anthony Kim. He was on the PGA. He was not even in golf. So like live kind of gave him a way to get back into the game, because otherwise I don't think he'd be out there at Q school for the PGA Tour. You know what I mean? So they kind of gave him a way back, but he was a prominent PGA Tour player, and then a big rider, a big contributor to the Ryder Cup and other things like that. So I think that it was a little bit of a special circumstance, but at the same time, they've never done it for anybody else. So why start now? I get both sides of it. I'm just going Switzerland right here, but I thought it was cool that Colt mentioned something, because I guess Colt has played with AK. I guess they met when they were like 18 or 19. They're probably close in age and everything. So just obviously acknowledging what he's been through. I also saw some people on social media call it like, don't let this distract you from the fact that Anthony Kim's a piece of shit human being. And it's like, dude, just let him have a week. whether you agree with what he says or disagree with what he says or his political takes or whatever, that's where the human element of it is like a little different. And I have a problem with the human element of sports, because sports fans are sports fans for sports, not the human element. But at the same time, what he came back from, basically, talking about committing suicide, all those different things, and to now have his life in the place where he's playing good golf, he's got a family, just came from rock bottom and came all the way back. So I just don't understand when people try to take a good thing and just shit on it. You just can't have nice things on social media, apparently.
Yeah, well, and I don't know if it's potentially because of the insurance policy he had, but if you're looking at it through a just realistic lens of the golf world nowadays, he was never getting back on the PGA Tour. I mean, I guess he could have, what he would have to do Monday, qualify for some Corn Ferry events and win his way back. No, he was a big enough name and a big enough superstar from the early 2010s, or I guess early 2000s, that they would accept him back, and he played like shit. Played like, was the last finisher, was a free agent, randomly Patrick Reed opens up, no, not Patrick Reed, sorry. Patrick Reed opens up a spot for him on 4 aces. He goes to the 4 aces and wins.
He did qualify to get back in to be on the 4 aces. So
no, I know, but that's what I'm saying is he played like shit for 2 years, was getting relegated, and then fought his way back. And so it's that's the cool part of the story too, is it's not just like, okay, Liv gave him a bag and he came over and played a ton of shitty golf and it's just a cool story. He had to fight his way back to even be on that second rate tour. That's not the PGA Tour. That's not the main, because like anybody, like even Jose Luis Ballester, right? Or Michael Assasso, they would have had to do so much more work and prove themselves so many more times to get on the PGA Tour now than signing a contract to go play on the Live Tour. And that's not necessarily a good thing. It's kind of a handout. But at the same time, when your name is enough and you've played enough good golf, you get rewarded on the Live Tour versus the PGA Tour. It's like, I go to you have to be a top whatever qualifier on the PGA Tour U top 10, or you have to go through the DP World Tour, or this way. They gatekeep it a little bit, which is fine. I mean, it's good. It's definitely a good thing, because then you get the best players playing in these tournaments like the Genesis. But at the same time, there was no legitimate path back for him to the PGA Tour. So you can just be happy that he went back. And we talked about it a little bit, obviously, on Monday or Sunday night. But him winning against Jon Rahm and Bryson DeChambeau, who are widely regarded as obviously the two best live players there are. Every major comes around and they're in the top 10 of odds, and people think they have a shot to win it. It wasn't just a normal live golf win. It was magnified by 10 because of all the circumstances.
Yeah, there's definitely an exclamation point on it, given the circumstances. But just once again, an awesome win for AK. So I really enjoyed that. And anybody on Twitter that wants to hate on that can go be negative about something else. Next thing I wanted to talk about, and I know you had the little ticker up, I saw it on Twitter today. Cleveland Golf is officially getting out of the woods and irons game. So I think they're only making wedges and putters going forward. And what I'm unsure of is if Cleveland and Srixon are still connected. I don't think they are. But you and I, like Cleveland 15 years ago, 20 years ago, was an awesome, huge, I would consider them, one of the top 5 golf brands: Titleist, TaylorMade, Callaway, Cleveland, and you name it, a 5th brand if I'm missing something here. But they were a huge mainstay. And maybe it was just because the pros, shout out Justin Serbo, but a couple of the pros we grew up with and, worked underneath were Cleveland guys. So we got the chance to hit some Cleveland clubs back in the day. And I personally loved their sticks. So I want us to just I want you to name your favorite Cleveland club that you ever had in your bag, because we definitely cycled through a few of them.
Yeah, it was definitely what I tweeted out, the Cleveland Classic driver.
Was that your favorite?
It was my absolute favorite. I had a hybrid, a Cleveland hybrid for a long time. I remember I hit that pretty well. Yeah, yes. The launchers were great, but the Cleveland Classic driver, I didn't hit it the best, but its peaks were other than my white R11 for like 2 weeks at one point, the peaks of the Cleveland Classic driver, that was when I was like, I thought I was the best driving the ball. My overall, if
Ever
I had it for, not ever. No, there was a
surpassed that
run.
now?
There was a run last year at some point, I remember, where I was driving the ball and I was like, I'm Rory fucking McIlroy out here. Like, nobody can touch me. Nobody that's not a PGA Tour, Corn Ferry Tour, name any tour professional. Like, I'm the best. I am a better driver of the golf ball than any of these motherfuckers out here. That's just a phase, though. That's not me all the time. That's just a phase. But the classic driver, I remember playing a few rounds. I had it when I started college. And so I played some tournaments in college with that. And I remember one time at the Broadmoor Mountain Course, I had my Cleveland Classic, and I was just.
By the way, that's not a golf course anymore.
Really?
Yeah, the mountain course does not exist anymore, which bums me out because I played one tournament round there my senior year, and I think I shot like 1 under par and won the tournament. And I've always thought about, oh, big tough guy. But I just, you play one round there similar to Haymaker and Steamboat, and I've never gone back. And so I think about that round and I'm like, fuck, I'd like to go. So I Googled it like last year and it doesn't exist anymore. I think they have built houses there. I don't know.
Damn, just the East and the West. Yeah, that was the first place I ever played in the Springs as a college student. It was the first day. We moved in the day after, but I went down and played with some buddies that I hadn't even met. We all met. We were all in the same program, met that day. It was me, Carson Jones, Mike Gardner, and Eric Schmiedman. And we played the Broadmoor Mountain Course. Yeah. We'd never met each other. Literally all met at the clubhouse first tee. Carson had set it up and invited us out, and we're like, fuck yeah. I was like, I get to golf in college all the time like this. This is elite. This is an elite setup.
And then it went downhill after that?
And then the classes started, and it went downhill pretty quickly.
No, but that Cleveland Classic driver, it was very old school, but new school, because it was actually like one of the deepest heads I'd ever seen. It was like super deep. So the ball came off really low. And I remember you hitting those, not really low, but I remember you hitting like 30-foot apex, just fucking bombs with that thing. Like,
yeah, like 10-yard, 5-yard, 10-yard cuts. And it was money.
And it had a unique sound to it as well, didn't it? Wasn't it like a hollow-ish?
Yeah, it was definitely like, it wasn't any sort of loud ping. It was more like
Yeah, like a thump almost. Like it even sounded old school. And they had like the little screws on the face, even though they weren't really like screws. They went all out making that thing. It was awesome. Like I would actually love to just find one of those nowadays and keep it or try to hit it or whatever. But my favorite, I had a Cleveland Launcher 3-wood that it was the gray bottom and it had one just little red spot on it. And I absolutely love that thing. I think I was maybe a sophomore, maybe a freshman, because it had a regular shaft in it, I know. And I hit the ball so short when I was a freshman that I was hitting legitimately, like the first hole at Spring Valley for tryouts was 420 yards. As a freshman, I think I was driving it maybe 210, 220 yards. So I would have basically 2 bills in on number 1, and I would probably bust out 3-wood at that point. So I hit a lot of 3-wood into a lot of par 4s, hence why my short game, I was just grinding on that shit because I knew I was going to have to get up and down from everywhere. But I just, the way it's set up, the way it's shaped, and then I think I had a hybrid as well. And there's zip core wedges. I mean, I know they're still making wedges, I think, but the old wedge with the little yellow triangle on the back of it, like that little plastic piece in the sole of the club, that shit was, I had a 60 degree and I just used to throw it straight up in the air with that puppy. So it's fun reminiscing about we used to go through golf clubs in high school, like we would change underwear. Yes, Graham McDowell did play the Cleveland Classic driver. I remember him gaming that. I don't know if he won. No, he didn't win the US Open with it, but I remember he played it out on tour. And that shit was electric. Like that was just, and it did. I can still remember the sound to this day, just the thud like coming off the club face.
Yeah, Cleveland made a good they had a couple good runs when we were like in our golf prime, where they were just making clubs year over year, and then they had I had the tour, the FG Tour irons for a couple of years, and I loved those. That wedge you were talking about with the triangle, yellow triangle on the back of the face, I had a 52 of that. That was the first ever 52 that I had, and
Okay.
I remember I thought that thing was just on a rope every time I hit it. I want to tie up a few things here regarding Cleveland. So to your future or your question, shout out GPT earlier. I got the answer. They are still part of the Srixon Golf brand. They're owned
Oh,
by
okay.
one giant brand, like basically uh, the brand that bought Srixon golf balls and had that as their main thing. They then bought Cleveland Golf, and it's still the same. So it's all the same. But my question to you on this is, yes, Cleveland's getting out of the iron and wood game. If you could take yourself 10 years down the road, just mentally take yourself to being 41 years old. We're still doing big drive energy twice a week. We're old men. I've got fucking kids in high school almost barely. How many club companies do you think there will be? Because it's a very minute thing, and a company that, you know, is semi big. I mean, Shane Lowry still plays them. There's a few players that obviously don't play their woods necessarily, and now definitely won't, or most of their irons, mostly just the golf ball and the irons, or I mean, excuse me, the wedges. But does this kind of worry you for the fact that, like, soon there will be legit like TaylorMade and Titleist and maybe Callaway? Like, it kind of worries me that we're going to get down a road where it's going to be this utopian golf by the time it's 10 years is not far enough away, but 2050, when my son's fucking 60 years old and he's gaming, you know, he would only be, what is it? Not 2050.
Less than
I would be
30.
60 years old. Yeah. Okay. So 2050 is actually not as far away as I mentally thought it was. 20, let's say 2070. So I'll be 77 years old. Like, is everybody going to have the same golf clubs if they're new? You know, like everybody hold on to their old shit, but like, it kind of scares me for that.
No, I don't think that'll ever be a problem, just specifically because you have to have different things for different people. Like, there's going to be people that want to spend more money and get hand forged Japanese Miras. There's people that want to buy direct to consumer Tacoma because they see the Bryan Bros and the, you know, Garrett Clarks of the world and whoever playing these clubs. And there's just there's niche brands. Like, I don't know if there will ever be a brand that eclipses into that like big four realm that, you know, is TaylorMade, Titleist, Callaway, used to be Cleveland, used to be Adams. You know, there was brands that definitely popped up and you're like, holy shit, feels like a mainstay. But I still think there's going to be niche brands here and there that have their, like Adele, for example, is another one where it's all custom stuff and it's milled in the US. Like, there's always going to be. Now, are they going to be the next mainstream iron and wedge maker? No, they're not. But I think the way golf clubs are interpreted is definitely going to change, because basically all you see now, oh, we're forgetting ping. My God, that of the main four. You and I have just never been ping guys, so maybe that's kind of why it's slipped our minds. But when you walk into a PGA Superstore or, you know, any big box golf store, they don't really have much outside of, and putters are different because you got like Bettinardi, you got Lab, you got you know, a more niche putter collection. But overall, for irons, wedges, driver, you're getting basically those four brands. That's, in Mizuno, I guess, is there, so they're kind of hanging on. But yeah, there's just, I think companies need to specialize more in what they do well. Like, in my opinion, Mizuno making woods is a fool's errand. Like, there's a few guys that play them on tour, but they're known for making really good irons, really good wedges. And I don't know how much R&D they spend. You know, this isn't a fucking business podcast, but I don't know how much money they spend on R&D and testing and all this shit to build these woods just to have, you know, to sell a couple thousand of them every year, you know? And speaking of, did you actually see that Titleist, right when TaylorMade and Callaway dropped their new woods this year, Titleist knocked down their driver price to like $449
Oh no, I did not see
from the
that.
last model?
Yeah,
They
like
basically, because they only release woods once every 2 years. So they basically undercut everybody else, dropping their price right, because TaylorMade and Callaway are the kings of new shit, market this, market that. And Titleist is the more heritage, old school brand that's like, we are confident in our product. We don't need to drop the new latest and greatest every year, because they have, and it's just partially because they have such a huge market share with the golf ball that they don't need to. So, like, I think 80% of their sales are just golf balls, and you can't tell me the margins aren't massive on golf balls. I'm sure it costs them fucking a quarter to make each Pro V1 that they sell for, $10 a fucking sleeve or whatever, to the not even direct to consumer. But yeah, they knocked their price down of their driver to like $449. So a little bit of gamesmanship within the club production industry there as well.
Yeah, well, it's already gotten out of hand with how much drivers cost. But
Unbelievable. That's
let's talk
disgusting.
about let's roll that into another piece of the golf game that people love to accessorize, and that's our boy Tommy Fleetwood and Tommy Fleetwood's current merch journey. So if you haven't seen this, I've got I put a little collage together. Great stuff from Tommy Fleetwood right now. So like I said, if you haven't seen this, basically what he's doing is he is done with Nike. Ironically, I don't know if that, I mean, Scotty Scheffler is too. I don't know if Nike's kind of getting out of it, or if they're just not spending the research dollars or the marketing dollars on players anymore, because this dude literally just won the Tour Championship. They had Scotty Scheffler, the best golfer in the world, and the winner of the Tour Championship, and maybe one of the most beloved guys on the PGA Tour in general and around the world, essentially, on their staff, if you will. I'm saying that in quotations. And they decided neither of them are going to stay on, and maybe that's a decision from the player, whatever. So Tommy Fleetwood is a free agent right now, and as you can see here, if you're watching on the YouTube, bottom right, he's got a Pebble Beach beanie on that he was wearing last week, along with the Pebble Beach sweater, quarter zip that he just bought in the pro shop, just like every one of us would do every time we go play a fun golf course. And then this picture on the left here, this tweet from Chris Powers and an Instagram post from the PGA Tour talking about Tommy Fleetwood and his collection. So he's got a Malbon Malbon sweater on, given to him by Jason Day. You can see the Jason Day comment there, given a handshake. And then he's got the Riviera Country Club hat on, which that one doesn't look at that hat. Doesn't it look like it's a bit sweaty? Doesn't it look like it's kind of got
no, I think it
might
just be a little wet on there, but that's like a puka. That's like a $15 hat. So it just goes to show you it's not the hat that makes the player, it's the player that makes the hat. Because Tommy makes that hat look phenomenal, but that is like every hat that your 65-year-old dad would buy in the pro shop. Like, oh, it says Riviera, it's black, it looks great. Like, but
that's me, dude. That's me. I am very much I would much rather buy it. Now, some hat companies, shout out our boy Trevor Gill, by the way. He sent us both a couple of hats from Black Bruin Mechanical out here in Colorado, a company that he works for, owns essentially, started. But he sent us some sick hats, and they're Richardson, which Richardson used to be kind of a joke of a brand, I think. And I put those hats on, and I was like, fuck. And if a hat fits me, it's a win. I know I can get in. I have some 47s. I think this is Branded Bills has done an incredible job on their hats, but there's only a few. Pins and Aces has hats that have always fit me, but there's a few hats out there where I just put it on. And I think my buddy Corey got me a hat with a little cactus on it that I look like Elmer fucking Fudd. So I actually did a hat purge, by the way. I purged about 20 to 25 of my hats. And
good for you.
Gave them to Goodwill, so now I've still got 47 plus, maybe 70. I've still got quite the collection, but I literally went through all of them and was like, what will I never wear again, or haven't I worn in the past year and a half, and got rid of them. But back on the hats, I love that hat that Tommy's wearing, to me, because I know it's going to work. I just know I'm not going to put it on and be like, God damn it, I have so much space up in this area of this pinhead. But yeah, it's pretty hilarious for Tommy to be going into the golf course just like anybody would on their boys trip and whatever. And you go in, you're like, fuck. Last year when I went on the trip to Mesquite, I bought a Wolf Creek hat, I bought a Sand Hollow hat, and then I think at Conestoga, I actually backed off. I said, nope, I don't need any merch here. I'm not going to go in the pro shop. We're already checked in and paid. I'm good to go.
Yeah. Well, and it's just funny too, because golf Twitter would roast any random dude that shows up at a course and buys a hat and then immediately wears it. But Tommy Fleetwood does it, and they're like, oh, that's, so cool that he does that and supports the club. And by the way, him rocking Pebble Beach and Riviera shit is not, not going out on a whim. You're not rocking Indian Tree in, Arvada, Colorado, just off the top of my head, or you're not rocking some crazy small public municipal course. You're representing, you're wearing two of the biggest names in golf courses in America. So it'll be interesting to see if he keeps this rolling with, like, if he plays at Innisbrook, if he plays, these smaller events where it's not a huge brand name. Maybe he's just transitioning between deals. And, like, if he goes to Melbourne, though, I'm going to be disappointed. Like, that just is not a Tommy. Tommy's a classic vibe to me. He's much, and I feel like a lot of the European dudes are more that way as well. They're not wearing as much of the crazy flashy shit that some of these American dudes are wearing, but I could be wrong. I don't know.
Speaking of that, I want to get off on a quick tangent. Did you see? So we're going to get into your player profile here on Max McGreevy this week, another signature event. So you had to kind of flush down the leaderboard a bit to get to someone a little less well known. But did you see your player profile guy last week, what he was wearing?
Johnny Kiefer?
No, Garrick Higo.
Oh, yes.
You see his pants?
No, I did not.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, well, you start your player profile on our boy Max McGreevy, and I will go find this and put it up on the screen because it was nuts.
Okay. Yeah, I love that. So Max McGreevy, honestly, you asked me if I was doing a player profile, and I am, but there's just not very much on this dude. I looked into him. He seems pretty plain Jane, a little bit boring, for lack of a better term. But he's 30 years old. He's 5'11", $160. So I double him up in weight. No, not that far, but it's close. Not a big dude. So he was born in Edmond, Oklahoma. He lives in Edmond, Oklahoma, and plays from Edmond, Oklahoma. Guess where he went to college?
Oklahoma.
Yeah, he went to University of Oklahoma. So he's done pretty much everything in Oklahoma.
Him and Anthony Kim.
Yeah, I mean, he was definitely a little after Anthony Kim, but he turned pro. He was really good in high school, won the 6A state championship. He also was a member at a country club in Oklahoma, shockingly enough, in Edmond. But there it makes more sense. Like, you're not playing public tracks in Edmond, Oklahoma. I could probably join one of the nicer country clubs in Edmond, Oklahoma. Let's just put it that way. Not the nicest, because I know there's some money, but the disparity between, like, some money in Oklahoma and no money in Oklahoma is fucking huge.
Hey, real quick, I'm going to pause you. I'm going to put this up on the screen here.
Okay, so you got his outfit from last week. Oh my, are those camo pants?
Yeah.
And he's got dyed blonde hair, and he's got the palm tree hat on. Okay. Yeah, he looks like like a surfer influencer guy.
Like you'll never guess who his clothing deals with.
Is it with Malbon?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so he's Malbon now. I mean, that fits, he's a 26-year-old from South Africa. I think he is probably more suited to wear that type of shit than Tommy Fleetwood, who's married to a 55-year-old English lady and has got a son that's like 21. Yeah, I mean, Oklahoma is not the best state in the world. I don't think that I would put it in probably top 5 worst states, bottom 5 best states. If you had to just blind rank the states, Oklahoma, there's really nothing there except for fucking tornadoes.
We've been to Oklahoma for a Air Force college graduation and a live tour event, which coincided with a lot of casino time, which I didn't mind.
until that crazy bitch started hitting on 19 at the blackjack table and we had to get up and leave. Like I've never witnessed anything like that in my life, and I hope I never do again, because that was out of pocket. And the dealer just let her do it. She's like, yeah, this is how she plays. I'm like, well, you're gonna lose every single player at this table if you're letting this chick hit on 19. But anywho, yeah, I wasn't that big of a fan of Oklahoma, but I know that people that are from there are very proud to be from there, I guess you would say. So he started playing professionally. He's 30 years old. He turned pro when he was 22. Played on the Canadian Tour, worked his way up to the Corn Ferry Tour, and then got onto the PGA Tour. But it's just one of those weird things. Like when I look at his career stats, so right now he's 67th in the world, Spencer. He has made 6'7". There you go. He's made 103 starts on the PGA Tour. He's made 43 cuts. So he's basically making 40% of the cuts, which is not a great number, especially to be a top 100 player in the world. He's got 16 top 25s and 7 top 10, 6 top 5 finishes. But I just don't. And his best FedEx Cup finish is 97th last year. So tell me how this dude is 67th in the world. Like, this is not a shit on Max McGreevy hour here, but I've seen him on some leaderboards, and I'm like,
Yeah, your player profile segment has turned dark.
Well, with these signature events, once again, back-to-back weeks, it's like who do these people really not know much about? So, but yeah, he's just really like, and I looked at his stats, and it basically seems like he's just ass at putting. He's top 50, like really no other way to slice it.
He's Scotty Scheffler without the ball striking.
Yeah, he's legitimately, listen to this year so far, short sample size. He's 65th in strokes gained total, 55th in strokes gained off the tee, 55th in approach, and 119th in putting. So you tell me where the hole is in the game. Driving distance, he's not super long, but he's pretty accurate. Some of the around the green stuff isn't great either, but the putting is very red. He is 160th in one putt percentage so far this year, 143rd in putts per round. So I mean, for being, he's 63rd on tour right now in scoring average, but overall it's like he might have to sort the flat stick out a little bit. And then, so these are another funny thing is now the PGA Tour app gives you like a little personal snippet at the bottom of like personal notes, and they're the dumbest fucking things. Here's his personal snippets of his life. Would like to design clothing and enjoys listening to music before playing around. Okay. What that is the most non-answer. Like when I said this dude seems like boring, he seems pretty fucking boring. Previously used a 1966 US quarter to mark his ball. That's a fun fact, apparently, about this guy.
I might do that too. It just depends upon what I fucking grab out of the Crown Royal.
Yeah, exactly. Like I may have used a 1966 quarter at some point too. It's just hit or miss. Says most people don't know he's a great ping pong player. Wow.
Okay, there's a little bit of,
but a lot of college golfers are big ping pong guys. It's they've got time in their clubhouse or whatever during rain delays, during anything, they're playing ping pong with their boys. Matt Kuchar, I think, is like a world beater at ping pong. I could see him being, who is Ben Stiller in dodgeball? That's the Matt Kuchar. He gives me those kind of vibes. Like he just wants to fucking bury you. He's ruthless. And then this is somewhat of a fun fact. His dad, Brian, played golf at the University of Kansas and won the 1998 Oklahoma State Amateur. And his uncle, Tom McGreevy, played golf at ASU, and another uncle, Gary Freeman, played football at K-State. So he does have some golfing in his lineage. His dad golfed, his uncle golfed at a pretty high level. So he's got some athletes in his family. But, I mean, other than that, dude, there's really not much. And, I mean, this guy's 30 years old, but I looked through his Instagram all the way back to when he started his Instagram because we're the same age. So he started one in 2013 as a senior in high school. There's literally nothing except for golf. It's just all golf. It's maybe a picture here with his girlfriend, now wife, or a few with his teammates, his Oklahoma teammates, like when they're at a tournament doing whatever, but it's just literally all golf. So I don't want to shit on Max McGreevy, but not the coolest player profile I've ever done by any means. And if I was being honest, I wouldn't bet on him to top 10 this week. I don't think I'm taking action on him. He's missed. And I wonder how many signature events he's played in, because those are cuts you can't miss. So how many no-cut events has he played in as well? Like, is he closer to missing 70% of his cuts? Just the fact that he's 67th in the world is really pretty insane. Like, I don't think he should be there, but who am I to say? So here he is in the signature event.
Max McGreevy, top 10, lock it in.
Yeah, well, let's see real quick. This season, he's made 4 or 5 cuts, not a single top 25. So, what are you going to do? He's the king of T27, T30, T48, T29. So if you got a Max McGreevy top 40 out there, even odds, hammer
it. Even odds, hammer it. I love it. All right, let's hop into a preview of this weekend's Siggy event, Riviera, one of the better golf courses. And I've seen it on Twitter. You said it kind of too, but one of the better golf courses, if not the best consistent. Well, there's only one consistent non-major course, but this may be the best. You can always say Augusta, but if you take any major out of it and the major stops, this is one of the better spots on the entire PGA Tour and a great golf course in general. But they've made some changes. So we want to talk about the changes and just talk about the golf course in general. I think one of the changes that I've seen a ton of, and that everybody's like, even Lee Westwood is hopping in on the Twitter machine on this, is they lengthened one of the par threes to 273 yards. It was already I want to say either the hardest or in the top 3 hardest par threes on the PGA Tour the past couple of years. Obviously, last year, notwithstanding, when they played this event at Torrey. But the last times that this event's been played, it's like the hardest par 3 to score on any course on the PGA Tour consistently. And then they go and lengthen it. So big distance is just getting its hands all over all these golf courses. And then also want to talk about the par 4 10th and the interesting stats I talked about last night, or I sent you last night, because that honestly doesn't compute to me.
Yeah, well, so we'll start with the par 3, and it, like you said, already one of the harder. I even remember playing that on the PGA Tour video game. Do you remember this hole at Riviera? Because the green is a huge, like, kidney bean shape, but a sideways kidney bean, where it's super wide but not very deep, and the entire green runs front right to back left. So there's really no way you can land an approach shot by the hole and keep it by the hole unless you're playing it from maybe 170, 180 yards. But then they extend it back to 275. And like, there is going to be guys probably hitting driver this week trying to cut something up. You have to play it up the right and then hope it catches that slope and rolls down to the left. But I just think that's asinine. And one thing I do have to say as well is this whole distance thing that they do is somewhat for show. Like, these par 3s that they extend out, and then some of these par 5s that they add a tee. The PGA Tour moves these tee boxes around almost every day. Like, for instance, at TPC Colorado, when they had a Corn Ferry Tour event there, that hole plays 275 yards from the back tee as well. I think on Sunday when we were there for the Corn Ferry Tour event, they were playing it at 175. So the yardage on the scorecard versus the yardage they're actually playing it at that week probably varies by a couple hundred yards. I'm not saying it's short by any means, but they're definitely not playing it from 275 every single day. But yeah, I just don't love the fact that all these old school golf courses feel the need to somehow get longer, somehow, to stay relevant. I just don't think that's necessary when you could just grow the rough out, make it really hard to hit fairways, make the greens lightning fast, and make it hard that way. I would much rather see that than, oh yeah, we'll just add 30 yards, 40 yards of distance. Cause I want to say it previously played like 235 anyways. I'd still probably be hitting 3-wood, well, maybe a driving iron, depending on, where the pin was and how firm it was. But it's still a plenty long hole. Like, in my opinion, any par 3 over like 210 is excessive. Now, it depends on elevation and a lot of other things. If you're at elevation 210 is more like, 180, 190. So then go back to 230. But at sea level, 210 is at minimum going to be at least probably a 7-iron for the longer guys, and more like a 6-iron or a 5-iron, things like that, and then up to a hybrid. But you stretch it out to 275. What was the U.S. Open? Was it Marion?
I think it was 273. No, it was at the one that Wyndham Clark won at
Oh, at
LACC. They had a
LAC.
273 yard. I think it was 273 or something like that, par 3.
Well, there's another course. I forget if it's Marion or if it was just last year. No, it wasn't just last year. But there's an old school course back east here that has a super long par 3 that I remember Phil Mickelson busting 3-wood and even hitting driver. Was it? No, it wasn't Kiowa. God damn it. There was a PGA Championship, I think, where they had like a 290-yard par 3 that was just absolutely obscene. But still one of my favorite courses. And like you said, I was watching a video of Riviera today, and I think one of the coolest things that this guy mentioned is you can look at Riviera and every single hole is memorable in its own way. And that's where I run into golf courses that I might not like as much, where it feels very repetitive. You're kind of playing the same hole over and over. And I guess even Matt Janella, one of the golf writers, talks about this. He goes, it's like your drive home test. Like when you're leaving the golf course driving home, how many holes off the top of your head can you distinctly remember? Like, oh, this was 3, this was 7, this was, and if you can't remember a lot of them, it's probably because they kind of run together and they're not that unique. Whereas Riviera, it feels like you get something different almost every time. And number 1 and number 10 are two, like one is a 505-yard par 5 straight down the hill that a lot of guys.
Okay, yeah, that's the one where they can hit 3-wood, right? And then have 3, and it's like there's the
3-wood and a long
there's
iron.
a break. Yeah, there's a
Yes.
break in the fairway. And then, yeah, okay, I remember that tee shot and that hole a ton from this, because it's basically you're starting out. If you start on 1, you're starting out the tournament, and if you don't make birdie, you're already way behind everyone.
Yeah, it's basically a par 4 by a lot of standards, but there's only 3 par 5s on this golf course. It is a par 71. And I will say I went through the scorecard, and there's maybe a couple of par 4s under 400 yards, but really where it gets its distance is the par 4s. There's a lot of par 4s in that 440 to 480 range. And I know that's not long for PGA Tour players, but there's not a lot of flip wedges in. So that's more of where the teeth of the golf course are. And the greens are just really hard to putt. They're super undulating greens, and they're always in really good shape. It feels like you have something to say.
One other quick change. I'll show this up here. Trees that were added for good old Victor Hovland.
He was taking it up the right on 14. I think that's 17 running adjacent to it.
Yeah, it's 15 is the hole where it goes down the left side here, and then 17 is the hole that he was hitting it up of. And these trees were not here. If you're watching on the YouTube, these trees were not here a couple of years ago, and now Victor Hovland this is from his Instagram story, not quite as happy with the 2 trees that are in the way of that tee box now, and that shortcut, if you will.
Well, yeah, and it's odd to me too, because Victor is such a cutter of the golf ball, and if I remember correctly, that hole moves pretty good left to right. So it's like, why don't you just hit a cut up the actual fairway that you're playing? But maybe Victor just had too much time on his hands. He's like, why don't I take it up the right here? USA Hockey just scored to make it 1-0. That's electric. No spoilers, but and then 10. So talk about the stats on 10, because 10 is one of, if not the best short par 4 on tour. The green is absolutely diabolical. I think it's about 10 paces wide, if not less. And it's angled to the tee box. So you have to cut something up in there. And then the bunkers surrounding the green are crazy deep. So there's no way you can, not no way, but you have to get lucky to be able to get up and down from around the green. So Spencer, give us some of those stats, just based on distance between now and 2004 or 5.
Yeah, so 2024 and 2004 are the years that they're comparing here. 2004 was the first year of ShotLink. So this 10th hole in 2004, the distance average was off the tee was 248 yards. Hit the green was 7. green in regulation percentage was 75%. Drives under 250, there was 301 drives under 250 out of 442, so almost 70%. And the scoring average in 2004 on the same golf hole was 3.79. Now, fast forward to 2024, the last time this tournament was here a couple of years ago, the distance average on the PGA Tour, or on this hole, I should say, was 280. The green regulations percentage went down by 10% from 75 to 65. Drives under 250, out of 240 drives, there was 6 drives under 250 yards on this hole, so 2%. So 68% in 2004, 2% now in 2024. And the scoring average, 3.82. So 0.03 higher when they're hitting the ball, essentially. Not only just players in general, but the whole mindset of golf has changed to hit it as far as you can and see what happens. And it's really, like, it just blows my mind to think. You think back to 2004, I was 11 years old. That's probably the year we started playing golf, to be completely honest with you, about 2003, 2004. And there was guys, they're outscoring what the current insane athletes that do focus their entire lives to golf, and the technology just gets better and better and better every single year. And yet the scoring average has gone up in a 20-year span. It's like unfathomable to me.
Well, yeah, you can chalk this one up for the clan of people that say you should lay up on short par fours and lay up to your correct distance, but they forget to mention that PGA Tour players even 20 years ago were pretty damn good at controlling spin, controlling their ball, controlling distance, all of this. But I personally, that's a par 4 after my own heart, because I could get out of there, maybe make a birdie occasionally or make par and feel pretty good about it, where everybody else would be driving it up by the green. And that's the best part about it's truly a risk. The name of, or the poster child for a risk reward hole. Because if you hit the perfect tee shot, yeah, you can make 2, you can easily make 3. But if you hit a wrong tee shot, you could easily walk out of there with 6. And there's not a single water hazard. There's no OB. I mean, unless you hit it 8 miles left. But it is just one of the best holes on the PGA Tour. So, and then I also love the 9th hole, which is an uphill approach shot. The 9th and 18th go back up to the clubhouse, and obviously the 18th is the iconic hole, dogleg right, where the tee shot's kind of uphill, and then the approach shot works a little downhill back to the right, and it's got that great amphitheater behind the green. So just a phenomenal golf course for the tour this week.
9 is the hole that Tiger shanked it on, right, when he came back and played, and I don't think made it through this tournament. I want to say a couple years ago. 9, he shanked it off in the trees on that uphill shot. Like, he was actually kind of balling. He was not Tiger balling, but like for where he was in his career, I think he had made like 2 or 3 birdies in a row and was 1 under par for the tournament after starting out a little wobbly. And then he just full on shanked it on 9, and it was just over from that point on.
I think you're correct. And for some reason, there's a shot that sticks out in my mind that Dustin Johnson hit here like 6 or 7 years ago, 6, 7. But he bombed driver, and the camera like didn't know where it was. I think he hit it pretty far right, and it just flew like right into somebody's head. And I was like, holy shit, what's Dustin Johnson doing like 200 yards out? Because I think it hit this dude in the head and went like straight backwards. But Dustin just got up and like, you think he striped it. He had showed nothing, like no lean, no nothing. And then all of a sudden they're looking for it, and it just fucking dude's over on the ground, laying on the side of the hole. I don't know why that, I could be wrong, but that shot just like sticks out to me for some reason. So a lot of good memories on this. I'm excited to watch the golf like every week, but Riviera, going back to like what we talked about last week, where tour venues are the pole, not the players. This golf tournament is truly a tournament I watch for the golf course, because I just love it that much. The par 3 with the bunker in the middle of the green, always a fun watch as well. There's just so many good holes out there. It's unbelievable.
All right, well, let's head into our weather report, do some pairing talk, and give you our picks for this tournament, the Genesis Invitational, back at Riviera Country Club. So we've got let's start with the weather report. Really easy. I've got this here. Not bad. the whole week, really. Just tomorrow, rainy and breezy in the morning, 91% chance. So those guys teeing off. Luckily, it's a signature event, so it's not like the tee times are at 6 a.m. anywhere. Guys may struggle a little bit tomorrow morning, but then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, mid 60s, cool. We may see some more beanies out there this week, like we saw last week. Matt Fitzpatrick acting like it was 5 degrees out at fucking Pebble in a full beanie. You know, Tommy Fleetwood in the beanie. These English guys apparently not as tough. And I mean, they've played in these insane conditions, but apparently when they get out on the PGA Tour, they're not as tough. And then we've got the tee times here for this week. Scotty, Xander, and Siwoo Kim, kind of an interesting pairing there. There's some other fun ones. I mean, Ludwig Aubert, who won this last year, but not at this golf course. Am I correct on that, or did he win it 2 years ago at Riviera?
No, he won it last year at Torrey.
So you've got Ludwig Aubert with Hideki Matsuyama and JJ Spawn, Cameron Young, Victor Hovland, Shane Lowry. That's a fun pairing. Corey Connors is back this week. I feel like maybe was he in the tournament last week? If he was, I don't think I saw him. But it sounds like Corey Connors making his debut in 2026, if I'm remembering correctly from watching.
I think he's played a week so far this year.
Okay, well, always wrong, or never wrong, always just early. And then Chris Gotterup, Justin Rose, Bobby Mack playing some good. All three of those guys playing some good golf here, so should be fun. Jordan Spieth playing with Daniel Berger and Minwoo Lee. That'll be quite the interesting group, if you will, especially from a standpoint of where those guys hit the ball. So some good pairings. Max Homa's won here before, and they paired him with Denny McCarthy and Kevin Yu. So it's like it's funny. I always like pairings. I don't get too into them because obviously they do it to where the TV is the most watchable. But sometimes you just see a guy and you're like, you got to think like, what the fuck he's got to see his pairing and be like, oh my,
what went wrong here?
Yeah. What did I do?
I've taken a step back. I just saw a tweet of Scotty's tee shot on 16 out at Riviera that plugged into the earth. So apparently it's already wet out there, and then it's going to rain tomorrow morning. So the longer guys might be a good option this week by the sounds of it. But at the end of the day, I mean, distance matters, but you got to be really good around the greens here. You got to be good on the greens. You got to take advantage of the par fives. I think I also saw that the last so many winners at Riviera have finished top 3 in a major previously. So I don't know if that's you have a ghost in that room.
Yeah, apparently something just fell. I don't like that.
But yeah, let's hop into our picks.
All right.
For me.
All right. The picks for this week after an intense week from me, getting all my 12 units back. You just absolutely love to see it. We are going to release our picks for the Genesis Invitational, and I will start out with my guys. I've got Tommy Fleetwood to win. I've got him boosted on the Bet365 app to plus 2470. So looking forward to Tommy not winning, but I also have Tommy in my one and done. So I'm not going to just give up on him if he's, his signature before the FedEx Cup last year and finishing T2 and having a great Sunday. So I'm going to be dialed in on Tommy all week, no matter what. Hideki top 5 at plus 400. He's also won here, playing some pretty good golf right now. This could be the week that he ends up winning, or since he's on my card, missing the cut. And then Tony Finau, this was just a guy
cuts.
Figuratively missing the cut by being 2 over par after Friday night and not having a shot to win it. And then Tony Finau plus 600 to top 10. Some good value in there for Tony because he's played really well here. Not really a guy on tour right now that you would say like he has a chance to win most events, but I'm just taking him to top 10. He was, I believe, strokes gained leader on the greens last week at Pebble.
Wow.
So hopefully you can parlay that into a top 10. If I can hit all 3 of these, I may just quit betting for the rest of the year and just keep my units.
There you go. I mean, by the way, if you have not seen, if you're not on the YouTube, Spencer's down 0.5 units on the year. I'm down 0.8. So we are back close to the green here, which is great. We're not just burying ourselves early. Like, we're going to hit a winner at some point, but we can't be down 30 units when we hit that winner just to get back to even. So I'm glad we're hanging in there. Patrick Cantlay is going to be kind of a hot pick this week. He's a Cal dude, so he's definitely familiar with the area. He's very good out of the fairway, and it is a second shot golf course here with all the par fours, and then around the greens as well, which he's not great, but had kind of a good week last week to the point where everyone's now saying they're going to bet on, Patrick Cantlay. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is kind of a chalky pick. Matthew Fitzpatrick's another dude who's been playing some low key, very good golf. The cross-handed chipping around the green still scares me a little. I can't have ultimate confidence in a dude that grips it opposite around the greens, but he's just been hitting it very good. And I feel like the odds at plus 3,500 is pretty solid for a dude in the position he's in. So I got him plus 3,500. And then Shane Lowry plus 375 to top 10. Really, really good short game. Very good iron player. I just like his game all the way around at a course like this. And he fades it. So I think a lot of these, I don't know if I remember correctly, not many dogleg lefts here, more dogleg rights. So any fader of the ball should do pretty well. I would like to think.
Yeah, it should be a fun week, and Shane Lowry's played good the last couple of weeks. Matt Fitzpatrick, and then of course Cantlay had a really good week last week. So I feel good about our guys. I always, random dudes can win any PGA Tour event, but whenever we get to signature events like this, I really want all those big names up there. And of course, then Scotty Scheffler wins this by 5 and we're all whatever, fuck it. But as of now, I feel really good about these picks. So let's wrap this up. I'm going to wrap this pod up with a WTF Wednesday. We got a new graphic. Look at that. WTF Wednesday.
That's me in that floaty there smoking a stogie for sure.
With the big bets. I love that.
Oh yeah, big. That is AI can do some cool shit. This is what AI was meant for, not for the weird shit you see on Twitter.
Yeah, exactly. Not for like the people being eaten by animals or some weird shit. So my WTF Wednesday this week is I got a bill in the mail this past week, and I have to pay for sidewalk fees and storm fees at my fucking house. And I did not know that was a goddamn thing at all.
I got the same thing. Yeah, I got the same thing like 3 or 4 months ago. It's like $150 a year.
Yeah. Well, mine was bi-yearly apparently, so I'm going to get it again. Or it was a 6-month. I don't know how they break it up, but yeah, I was pretty shocked.
Bi-yearly means once every 2 years, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean maybe bi-quarterly if you have to put it that way. Semi-annual is the word I'm looking for here.
There you go.
Semi-annual.
Okay.
I have to pay a semi-annual storm fee and a semi-annual sidewalk fee. So that was not a fun fucking bill to get in the mail from Denver Department of Transportation or whatever the fucking their name is. And I'm like, cool. I think it was like $180 total between the two, just down the drain.
Yeah, and then
figuratively and literally.
And then you have a sidewalk issue, and it takes them 2 weeks. You're the one who shovels it. You're the one like it is blasphemy. They try to get you literally wherever they can. It is. It's disgusting.
And my back area where my garage and my other driveway hits the road, constantly snow and ice and just a fucking ice rink out there.
Yeah, you think they give a shit?
No, they just want my storm fee. So I was pretty shocked to see a storm.
City of Denver can get bent. Just being real. My WTF Wednesday was we went, and you'll have to tell me if I'm out of pocket for this or not, but Missy's not like a huge flowers, like not a huge Valentine's flowers, not all like lovey-dovey, mushy bullshit like that, which is I have no problem with. Great for me. But so we went out on actual Valentine's Day Saturday to get I wanted to buy her some flowers, but I wanted her to pick them out because she likes, and do you think that's bad that I would rather have her pick them out? Like,
no, I don't think so. I mean, I think it's like a thing if you're mature enough and realize, not saying what she doesn't like because she's not into that, you're not buying her flowers every week and getting a test case of what she does and doesn't like. You're like, hey, I want to do this for you, but I want it to be something that you want to put in the house. Fine. That's
exactly.
A little weird, but it's not like overly weird.
Yeah. And at this point it's, I'm not saying romantic gestures are out the door, but it's definitely, it's not our first Valentine's Day together. So it's just a little bit different. But we went to this place because we also wanted to go. There's this really cool, what would I call it? Like a garden center but it's like super niche. They took this old farm, this old big barn, and they turned it into an antique store and like a decorating store. It's very high end, very I don't even know how to put it, but then there's a few like greenhouses out back with a bunch of fresh flowers throughout the year, and basically like a Tagawa a garden center, but like a very expensive and small one. Let's put it that way. So we go in and they have all these different bouquets and they're super pretty. Also, do you say bouquet or bouquet?
I say bouquet, but I'm sure it's bouquet.
So do I. I say bouquet as well. Maybe we're just hillbillies, but they have all these different bouquets in there. And the like, first of all, when I see 2 dozen roses for like $150, I'm like, what the fuck? They just inflate it around Valentine's. Whereas if you bought these a month ago, they'd be $50. But so I buy this little bouquet of flowers and she picked it out. They are very pretty and very cool. But a little small bouquet, like it's probably got like 10 flowers in it, a few different things with like a lily in it and whatever. $95 for this thing. And we get it home and it's been 3 days, I guess 5 days now, but 3 days in, this shit's drooping. It's saggy. It looks like shit. And I'm at Whole Foods last night and I see the same like bouquet of flowers for $10. I'm like, for fuck's sake, dude, they just get you. They're preying on wealthy people, which, I am not, but we were there. It's just the situational thing. I'd rather pay $95 for it right now than go to a different store to save whatever, $50. So I ended up buying them. And then her and I've changed the water in them a few times, but not the most impressive durability from a flower bouquet for $95 that I've ever had. So Whole Foods next year is probably going to be the move.
Yeah, there you go. Whole Foods actually has some fire shit when it comes to.
Oh, they do. Yeah, they curate some pretty good shit, I would say. I'm a connoisseur of Whole Foods. I fucking might as well live there.
Love that. Love that. Well, that wraps it up for us on this episode of Big Drive Energy, the week before the Genesis Invitational. Provided everything goes well, we're planning to be live on Sunday. We'll see. We'll figure that out. We'll definitely do a pod at some point and talk about wrap up the Genesis Invitational, hopefully talk about a winning gambling pick. Make sure you're following us on all socials. I am at Big Drive Spence. He is Big Drive Mitch. On Instagram, Big Drive Energy Golf. On Twitter at Big Drive Energy. That's enough Big Drive Energies for you and for us for the day. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the Genesis Invitational, college basketball, NBA's back, NHL, gold medal games coming up. Hopefully our boys can bring it home. Looking forward to that. We will talk to you guys on either Sunday or Monday. Peace.
Peace.